when we talk about our tool days, practices back then, the amount of time that we had to spend weeks before the season even started compared to now, even with you doing some radio and also your broadcasting, what are some of the differences you think from just when we were playing that you see as the biggest thing in terms of the player's health?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the rule changes, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we sued the league to get free agency. We get free agency, right? Then
Yes.
we come back years later, we sue the league for CTE, right? And then the league said, okay, wait, hey, whoa. If my employees are going to sue me, we're going to put a lot of different rule changes. So they made a lot of changes in the
Yes.
rules. So, and it started with the OTAs, right? Which we never had. I mean, I had at the end of my career, but not at the beginning. So at the beginning, in all season, we worked on our own.
Gotcha.
Like you did your own thing. I wasn't paying somebody to train me. I don't need to pay somebody to train me to make my money.
That's right.
It's my money. So I don't need anybody to do anything like that. So, but I think the difference of the days guys and what we used to do is that, they're in the building way longer than we used to be.
Gotcha.
Right? Where the OTA starts right after the draft. And you go OTA 1, OTA 2, OTA 3. So they're always in the building. And concussions is a big item.
Yes.
For the league. So, they don't let them put the helmets on that often. I think there's only get 17 or something like that throughout the whole year, not a whole bunch. And a lot of guys don't even use a lot of teams don't use that up. So I think there is a huge difference, but we came in, I worked out in all season. I remember me, Carnell Lake, Greg Lloyd, we would get up at 5:30 in the morning, go swimming with Merle Hodge at a swim pool. Then we'll leave there. Those guys would go to the weight room, and me and Carnell Lake will go to the track over at Carnegie Mellon. And then we'll go leave from the track over to the stadium because we practiced and we worked out at Three Rivers. So we went over to Three Rivers and we lifted, and then we went to the field and did our field work. And heck, we didn't get done until we would start 6 o'clock in the morning. We didn't get done until about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Big deal.
And we did that
Here we
consistently
go
throughout my whole
5:30 in the
career.
morning, man. 5:30 in the morning. What are you guys doing, man? The games are at night. I don't understand this training so early in the morning, but that's what everyone did, right?
Yeah, I mean, we really train. The way I look at training is that you train you're training your body to get your mind ready.
Okay.
Because your mind is stronger than your body.
Yeah.
And, and you can go and practice where you get tired, and then you can have self-pity for yourself. And as a corner, when I'm tired, I can say, okay, I'm tired, I'm going to play off. Or am I a corner that says, I'm tired, but I'm going to challenge myself, so I'm going to go press. And that's what I did. I mean, every time I got tired. So we would train to the point where we got tired, because you're going to get tired in the game.
That's right.
You're going to be tired in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to learn how to practice. Or I can either, and it's a saying that like an amateur will practice over and over until he gets it right. A professional will practice over and over and over and over until he can't get it wrong. Those are two different outlooks, two different ways of seeing it. And the professional is going to keep doing it until every shot, if he's a basketball player, every back pedal is going to look the same consistently, right? That's what greatness, that's what excellence is. And I think there's a huge difference of what they do today and what we used to do back in the day. When I look at football consistently, I think the fundamentals of the game is gone. But they're still athletic players, right? Yeah. I mean, everybody who gets drafted and playing in the National Football League is the biggest and the best of American football in the world. Mm-hmm. So you do get to see good athletes. I just think the foundation, the fundamentals of each position consistently is not what it used to be.
Yeah, and the thing that I noticed is that when I got to Baltimore, not only did I have Ernest Biner that was in my running backs room my first year in 97, and then when Rod came in 99, 98, it actually was an opportunity for me to just see players that had played before me that I had watched when I was in college. But it was one of these things that their work ethic was incredible, you know, and that kind of speaks to kind of the foundation that you're speaking about in terms of how you worked and how early in the morning you guys were working. But it was incredible.
Should I mean, this isn't meant to embarrass, but Priest and I were talking about how we used to play you in Tecmo Bowl, before Priest got into the league. So, because he's like, man, wait, when did Rod come into the league?
That's the
I was
first thing
playing him in
that's the
Tecmo
first thing
Bowl.
they told me. That's the first thing they said when I got into the locker room. Man, I played with you in Tecmo Bowl. I was like, dude, stop. Like, stop. You know, they used to call me, they used to call me grandpa because I was like, I was like, some of the guys, I was like 10 years older than most of those guys in the room, right? And, I got there, I was year 98. That was year 12 for me,
Hmm.
or 11 for me. And I think I know for Ray, that was year 4 for Ray. So all those guys are young
Yeah.
and vibrant. I remember how I felt, when I was young and vibrant. And I'm like, yeah, I'm at a different mindset in my life, man. But yeah, I know one thing that we know, like in the Pittsburgh way is their motto is the standard is the standard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. You have to adhere to that standard or you're going to get fired or you're going to get cut. But it taught me, especially being with Carnell Lake. Carnell Lake is a workaholic. Like my first workout, my first 2 years before Carnell got there, I would go to the driving or go to the golf course. I get like 4 clubs, I hit the ball, and I jog to my next ball.
Yeah.
That was my workouts
wow.
in the off season. And then Carnell came in, and man, we were working. I mean, when I started working out with him, that's when I was like, okay, these are real workouts. And it just became a part of our DNA. It's like we always got up, always was there, rain, shine, it didn't matter. We're working.
That's it.
Now, I know at the beginning of this interview, we read off all these accolades and, the successes throughout your career in the National Football League, but we almost didn't get to see any of these because Priest, this guy was a stud when it came to track and field, and he was at Purdue. Was there a chance you weren't going to the NFL? Like, was there another path you almost took?
Yeah, I mean, in '87, I don't remember. Priest, you weren't in the league yet, but in '87 there was a holdout, and that's when they had to strike. They had to replacement players that came in, and I remember I was running track, and at that time I had the 4th fastest time in the world in the 110 hurdle.
In the world, man.
And
World.
when I left Purdue, I was running for the LA Track Club, and the LA Track Club, I mean, I was the only guy on the LA Track Club. But we had like Merlene Oddie, Pam Marshall, Silva. There was a couple other, I can't remember all the girls that were on it, but they were all really good.
Yes.
And I was the only guy that ran hurdles. And a guy named Chuck Davis basically taught me how the rhythm of the run. So I got a little bit faster as I start running with him, and I got the 4th fastest time in the world. I got to go overseas. Because me and the Steelers at that point, the Steelers were kind of cheap, love them to death, but they were kind of cheap back in the day. And I remember I'm running track in LA, and one of Jim Boston comes out to visit me when he thinks that the strike was going to be over. And he's like, hey, we're going to offer you $1 million signing bonus and X amount of this. And then I'm like, listen, because I thought I was going to be the 3rd player taken.
Okay.
But then certain players got drafted and it kind of knocked me down, which was a blessing in disguise. But I was like, Mr. Boston, you can tell the Roonies that I never had money in my pocket. I don't know what it feels like to have money in my pocket. Tomorrow I'm going to get on the plane and go to Nice, France. I'm going to run track. And I got on the plane and went to Nice, France. And I'm glad I did because I was a 22-year-old over in the EU, running track at all these track meets. And it was mind blowing. I mean, it's like, if I could have kept running track, I would have.
Okay.
Wow.
But once you sign your professional contract back then, you couldn't become an amateur
Right.
in another
right.
sport. And now you can be a professional and an amateur and play in the Olympics and do all that stuff. I mean, so I was just a little bit before my time.
Yeah. So you said 87 was the lockout, and then also 93 free agency. Is that when free agency was implemented?
Free agency started in 90. I think we sued in, I can't remember if we started the lawsuit because it was a Reggie White antitrust
right,
suit. I think I started in 91, 90. So it was either 92 or 93 where the free agency started. I can't remember the exact year, but I remember Reggie being a part of that. I was one of the name players on the back end of that because I was up for it was called Plan B free
Gotcha.
agency. Really, nobody was moving in Plan B free agency. I can tell you that right now. Nobody did ever move under Plan B free agency in the history of football. So, once you got that contract, man, you couldn't become an amateur again. And that was disappointing because I couldn't. The one thing I always have in my head is that if I could have pursued track, how good could I have been? And it still would have been, my first love was still football. But track was my second love, that if I pursued it and I ran it in the off season every single year, and it was only a 3-month span, right? In the off season, how good can I get? How good can I be? And I remember the IOC was like, well, you can't be, we took them to court. They're like, well, no, you can't because you're a professional. I'm like, dude, I'm a professional in football.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional at track. Like, it doesn't help me getting my body banged up and beat up. These guys are running all day long, all year long. And they're like, no, you can't be a professional over here, but be an amateur here. And it was like it was the craziest argument. And now today, you can't.
That's good. That's good stuff. Breaking news from Bet365. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Sign up, place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, player props, futures, and so much more.
Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only.
This has been a Playmaker production.